I work in a bar/grill that's only about 25 years old. I've been there for 13 years. There are ghosts. If you work there long enough, you'll have an encounter. Lately it's been each one of us servers will hear our name called urgently. You turn around and no co-workers and none of your tables are looking at you. Just dining as normal. Just tonight, and I hesitate to identify this as activity, I was walking down an aisle and saw out of the corner of my eye a black human figure trying to climb up in the top corner of the ceiling. I turned to look at it and nothing. I couldn't even see what might have looked like someone climbing. So it's kind of weird. In that same section one night I kept seeing out of the corner of my eye a man sitting at a table with a striped shirt on. I'd turned toward the table to say I'll be with you shortly, but nobody was there. A couple times during that shift I felt like I saw him again. I've been 13 years there and feel like I would know if a table was reflecting off the window at night. Like he was at another table reflecting like it was in my section. Confusing. But I know when I'm seeing little glimpses of something. So when I was around like 6 or 7, I was visiting my Nana and she gifted me this cute little snow globe that played music when you twisted the bottom. In the middle was a horse that you would see on like a carousel that gently rocked up and down when the music played. The bottom was really pretty metalwork painted gold, and I love this thing because my Nana gifted me tons of little trinkets she collected over the years. It was about 13 years later, I was in high school and this thing had solely sat on my dresser as decoration for years because it doesn't make music anymore. I had tried over and over again years before and it didn't work. Keep this in mind, this thing had not made any music or really been touched in about 4 years except for light dusting because it was broken and didn't make music. It's 2 a.m. on a Friday night and I wake up because I hear one of my mother's several cats jumping around my room. I see our Maine Coon literally giving the death stare to my dresser, where the little snow globe was sitting. This thing starts to somehow play music. I immediately said hell no, picked it up, shook it, and it stops, which is absolutely weird. I lay back down only for it to start a second time, so this time I move it to my closet and lay back down. The cat is now staring at the closet and the music continues. I get so frustrated I go in my closet and bury the snow globe in clothes because it wouldn't stop, and I was exhausted. Let me know if y'all ever had something similar happen. America is somehow turning people's blood into oil. Oil is an important element in worldly civilization today and it is how everything is able to function. From cars to electricity. Pill plays a vital role. There are countless conspiracy theories that most of the wars in 20th and 21st century was all for oil. Our lives are dependent on oil and every pleasure that we get from our privileges is from oil. We are not so advanced after all as we are still using something that was made from dinosaurs dying billions of years ago. The main news is that oil is running out. Science is trying its best to fund an alternative to oil. It is proving a difficult task though, and how we all need it, it truly dumps us down. A couple of weeks ago I was on the train and the doors were about to close. I saw a man running towards the train and this is a common sight. Only half the man's body makes it and the other was stuck outside. So half the man's body was cut in half by the train doors. Instead of seeing blood, we saw oil instead. Half of the man's body was hopping inside the train and he was confused as to why he had oil for blood. Looking outside, his other half of the body was also confused as to why he had oil for blood. Some people on the train were secretly collecting some of the oil spilled on the floor in bottles. They wanted to sell it. Then as the train made it to the train stop, some guys in suits took the half-hopping man away. Oil was being spilled on the floor still. As more days went by I saw more people trying to make it onto the train just before it closes. Unfortunately only half of their bodies made it onto the train. The other half was stuck outside. They all had oil for blood and someone in a smart suit took them away. We started hearing of people sneezing out oil from their noses and bleeding out oil when they cut their fingers. They were never seen again. News started going round of the American government of turning people's bloods into oil by putting something into the air. They were doing this so that they could be free from relying on the Middle East for oil. Then I was nearly late for the train and as they cut me in half, luckily I still had proper red blood. It was a pain to find the other half of my body though. There was a guy wearing a hat and sunglasses sitting on a bench in front of Walmart, and came in shortly after us. We, family of 3, looked at toys and he walked by to the fishing poles. We went to the electronics and he was there staring at tablets. When we left, his car was parked across and to the right ours, and he was inside of it. We sat there for a few minutes to see if he would leave, then decided to finally just leave. He backed out as we were backing out. We drove in front of a store, and he was driving away from the store. We went super slow a few car aisles down, and so did he. He couldn't see us through the cars. We saw him for a split second in between cars, and he took a picture. There was another lady with kids right in front of him, and then he sped off. The sunset was pretty tonight, so it could have been that, and there's no way he could have gotten a quality picture of our car in that split second. Maybe the guy was just looking around, but doesn't explain the bench/waiting till we left to leave. Felt pretty unsettled. Wish we would have stayed for longer inside the store. I'm sure it was just a weird coincidence, right?